It's 6.
Okay, I'm gonna call, the March 12th, 2025, Warm Springs Rural, Citizen Advisory Board to order. Here we have roll call.
Marshall Todd present.
Roy Chesney present.
And Hugh Ezel, present.
We do have a quorum. Yeah.
I will. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
Okay, next on the agenda is general public comment. Comments heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and contain the matter on and off the agenda. The Citizens Advisory Board will also give public comment during individual action items. With comment limited to 3 minutes per person. Comments are to be made to the cab as a whole, not individuals, and for discussion. So, do we have any general public comment?
I have a question.
Oh, can you state your name for the record?
One right.
Thank you.
Is there any chance that we can ever get any senior transportation? Yeah, they stopped. I've called for access to health stops in Spanish Springs. And they only come 2 days a week. And you have to be able to fit your doctor's appointments into their schedule. Good luck. That's how I was wondering. Something that we could work on.
They do have some different ones.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
We could certainly, put public transit support on the next, on a future agenda and get somebody from what you see out there to, discuss it with us. Okay. All right, any other further comments? Hearing none, we have an approval of the minutes for the meeting of November 13th, 2024. I read the minutes a couple of times. I have no additions or subtraction to them. We also, the three of us have a copy here. Very, very comprehensive minutes with our discussion with Charlie in the morning. Charlie. It was a very, very informative meeting. And all in favor? Okay. Do we have any public safety updates?
I see neither Washoe County Sheriff's Office or Truckee Meadows Fire here. So if they do show up, perhaps we can move them to later in the count.
Next up, I'm here. Yeah. Eric Brown is our county manager. He's got his hands full. And he's gonna give us an update on what's going on. Budget shortfalls. Where's the stage, Ken?
Anywhere you are, I will point to you.
And so Eric, you got it for us.
Good evening, everybody. How are you? Who have I not met before? I'm Eric Brown. What's your name?
New resident Carrie Butler.
Wonder right.
Wanda. I think I know those two. What about you two?
Jan and Wayne Mortensen.
Sure better.
Don't listen to him. Dead to me.
Well, as he said, I'm Eric Brown. I'm proud to be your county manager, and every year, this time of year, in the first quarter, I try to get out to all the cabs to give an update on what's going on in the county, give you a chance to ask questions, and then talk about what the county's priorities are as directed by the Board of County Commissioners, for the year ahead. So, slides.
Yes, I'm so
Slides
sorry.
I'm going to share with you are a subset of what was shared with the Board of County Commissioners in December, where the county manager by statute has to do a performance review, a public performance review with the county commissioners, which includes a summary of the accomplishments of the prior year. And that gives the commissioners a chance, of course, to tell the county manager, give him feedback on his performance or her performance and things that need to go forward. Then in January, usually late January of every year here in Washoe County, we do what we call a strategic plan workshop with the commission. It is not a regular commission meeting. It's a workshop which is designed to review the prior year's and goals as directed by the commission. We give the staff gives an update. How did we do against what you asked us to do? And then the rest of the day is spent hopefully listening to commissioners tell us what they see as the key priorities for the year ahead. And those priorities serve as the basis for how we build our budget for the upcoming fiscal year. We're in the process of budgeting right now, and we've taken. You'll see in my remarks some of the direction the commission has given us. So 2025 is going to be a year where we know we're facing tightening revenues. You guys probably have all heard this, seen this in the media. Any jurisdiction, Southern Nevada, Northern Nevada, we're all seeing a flattening of C-tax revenues, which are the second largest source of revenue for our county, most counties in Nevada. Property taxes are the largest, 70% of our revenues is property tax. Those are a much more stable revenue stream, and they are continuing to grow. But my point is, we know that the economic situation is tightening, and it is forcing us to take a look at tightening our belts going forward. A lot of the funding that was flowing out of the federal government and the state government subsequent to COVID is drying up in the next couple of years. So we won't have those funds available to do things that safety net things for recovery of COVID and that kind of thing. So this is a year where I think you're going to see us buckle down and focus on the things that are already in play, that we know are priorities for the community. We won't see a lot of new stuff that we're going to try to do, which is what we've been doing over the last couple of years. And the commission's been pretty clear, and your commissioner has been very clear that seniors, mental health, and infrastructure are priorities for us. That's what we're going to try to do within our means. And we have already had tough conversations with our 24 department heads about the fact that don't expect additional personnel or special projects and that kind of thing, because we don't expect that the resources to be there. Next slide.
There we go.
All right, so having said that, what I can report to you tonight is Washoe County is in a relatively strong financial position today. Certainly when you compare us to the city of Reno and the city of Sparks, we have a substantial, what we call fund balance, it's about $54 million at the end of June. But we do 5-year forecasts. We don't just look at the next at this year or the next year. We look over the 5-year, actually 7-year horizon. Because when you get to the size that Washoe County is now with over $1 billion in our budget, and with about 530 million in general fund, which is our checking account, I would call it kind of stuff. It takes a while for anything that you do to take effect. And but we do have a structurally balanced budget as of today. Moody's has actually improved our bond rating. This could become important for us as we get into tougher economic times, because we may want to do some things, some more bonding. And the fact that your rating is improving means that the cost of that money is going to be cheaper than what it might have been if you didn't get that. We had a clean audit, which you would expect and should expect from us. Importantly, from a financial standpoint, we got all of our employee association, or some people would call them union agreements, renewed for 4 years. We've never done 4 years before. We've always done 2 or 3 years. Reno just did one with their fire union for 1 year. This gives us some more stability to know what, because compensation cost for our employees is 75% of our operating expense. So if you know how much you're going to have to pay people over the next 4-year horizon, it's a lot easier than if you're playing guessing games with years 2 and 4, 3, and 4. Now, having said that, it's the non-compensation benefits costs that are really biting us across the state. PERS, OPEB, those kinds of things for both our uniformed officers and employees, public safety folks, as well as for our non-uniformed employees. Now, we do continue to get GFOA awards for our budgeting materials. Our budget book is published every fall, which continues to win awards. This year, we'll be implementing a new feature called Open Checkbook. We're going to call it Washoe Checkbook. This was first implemented by the state of Nevada about 9 months ago, State Controller's Office. It is a tool that allows citizens who are not financially proficient, let's say, you're not used to thumbing through financial statements, and you want to know how many FTEs, how many employees that are uniformed officers does the sheriff's office have, and how much they cost. You'll be able to see that. We're launching that March 25th, in a couple of weeks. There's going to be a workshop in chambers. We don't have a commission meeting that day, so we're taking that day. It's a Tuesday morning, and we're going to do a demonstration for the public on how Open Checkbook works. It's a software platform, basically, that you'll be able to access from home or any internet device. We're also going to do a budget one-on-one workshop. So our budgeting team is going to walk through the basics of how the Washoe County budget works, how it's structured, what do certain terms mean, like enterprise funds or fund balance. I used that term before. So if you're available March 25th, 10 o'clock, it will be taped and put on our website if you're not available at that time. But it's all a part of our effort to be more transparent with the public about how we're spending our money and where it's going. Okay, next slide. Now, some of the accomplishments over the year, we did complete our construction of the CARES campus, which, as you all know, is our major shelter for, it's our low barrier shelter, as we call it, for primarily for men. Now, I say that if you go down there tomorrow, you will see that on the west side of the campus, there is still construction going on, because now we have received $21 million from the state of Nevada's Home Needs Nevada Fund to build affordable housing. Not a shelter, affordable housing. Biggest challenge we're having is we probably have 400 people in our shelters. We have 2 shelters, by the way. We have our place, which is for women and families. And then we have the CARES campus, which is our low barrier shelter, basically for anybody that needs help. The problem is every night, any night, we will have about 400 people who actually have jobs. They don't make a lot of money, but they make enough money that if there was a place that was available for them, they could live on their own. A lot of these people, about 45% of the people in the CARES campus are actually working. They just had a tough break. They got laid off. They missed a mortgage payment or a rent payment. And so ever since then, they've been out on the streets. So if we could begin to find places for them to stay so that they're not in a shelter, that would be helpful. And that's what we're going to be focusing on now, both at the CARES campus and maybe some other locations. Again, grant funded, not out of the general fund. That's what that refers to. We relocated the Men's Crossroads program, which is for men who have substance use issues. It's been a very successful program, very high rate of reforming those folks and getting them back into productive society. And we've also launched a family version of the Crossroads program for those men who have kids or wives and kids. Heretofore, they had to be separated from them because it was only for men. So now there's going to be an option that they can be with their families, and we'll see how that works. The sequential intercept model. So this is a fancy phrase for a program that was first done in Miami, down in South Florida, very successful. City of Miami and Dade County, like us, did not have a lot of behavioral health facilities for the folks that were incarcerated. The traditional wisdom is you cannot reform them in a correctional facility. You need to take them out of the correctional facility to a place where they can receive the treatment they need in the right environment. Well, that's fine if you have that. We don't have that in Washoe County. We actually don't have that in the state of Nevada. So what Miami did is they took a wing of the jail and they implemented a model that brought therapists to the jail and treated them in the jail. But the actual environment, you would not know you were in the jail. You would think you were in a behavioral health facility, basically. We are testing this right now up on Par Boulevard. Sheriff took the initiative to take a wing of the county jail. There's a grant from the state of Nevada that is funding this. And it started in October. The results so far are now. The problem is, you guys all read the newspapers, you know what's going on. The federal grants and that kind of thing are being paused and interrupted. We don't know if the funding is going to be there to continue it. But this has been proven to be a successful model in Miami. We think it could work here. We've got the judges, the DA's office, the public defender's office. Our entire system has gone down to visit Miami and see how they've done it. And there's a lot of energy around it. We'll just have to see if we can find funding when the grant expires in about this fall, October, to continue. Go ahead. Okay. You guys have heard that the state received opioid settlement funds. They have been distributed in a cooperative agreement between the 17 counties to each of the counties. With our share, the Board of County Commissioners has approved an action plan that was prepared by our opioid analysts that we hired out of the earnings of the settlement. And we've done about $4.5 million of aid already, and more on the way. From a behavioral health standpoint, this is one of the things that the commission directed staff to do at last year's strategic plan, meeting, they said, look, we have a mental health crisis here in the state of Nevada, and certainly in southern Nevada, in northern Nevada, I'm sorry. If nobody else is gonna do it, we want Washoe County to take a lead role in addressing our mental health, issues. And so we hired, mental health administrator, her name is Julia Ratty, some of you may know her name. Who's originally on the Sparks Planning Commission, City Council, went on to be a state senator here. Then she came to work for, the health district here in Washoe County. And now she's working for us, as our mental health administrator. And she got approved, the approval from the Board of County Commissioners to a behavioral health action plan, which includes things like crisis response. When I say crisis response, down in Reno and Sparks, more Reno, if somebody's whacked out on something and either from a substance use issue or they're just having a bad mental health day. Right now, before the crisis response center opened 2 weeks ago, you would have gone either to the jail or to the emergency room at one of the hospitals, which is really not where we needed you to go. And so now we have a center over on the NAMS campus, where it's at the Bandini Hospital complex, where our law enforcement and first responders can take people who are in those situations where they just need to go somewhere, some period of time for a reset. They don't need to be incarcerated. They don't need to be in the hospital. They just need a therapist in some cases, whether it's mental health therapists or behavioral or medical therapists to help them get reset. So it's just open. We're excited about that. That's the kind of thing that Julia has been working on. I think last year I talked about the fact that the county purchased West Hills Hospital, which is at the corner of Sutro and 9th Street, kitty corner to our senior center. We're in the process of refurbishing it. The state gave us $14.5 million towards that effort, and you'll be hearing more about that. And we're also completing senior center upgrades. Remember, I showed on the first slide, seniors is a priority that our commission has asked us to work on. And I think we're doing great things in terms of facilities and the programming at our senior centers that you'll see going forward. Okay, next slide. All right, so you would have to be in a cave not to know that there were elections in 2024, 3 of them. We successfully got through the presidential preference primary, which was in February, the June primary election, and then the November election. We were able to reform and improve our staffing levels in the elections office, the registrar of voters office. We were historically understaffed in the elections office. Give you an example. When I got here in 2019. 2020 was the first election that I experienced. We had 6 full-time employees, including the registrar of voters. When we went to the subject matter experts and looked at what other jurisdictions our size with similar numbers of registered voters, we should have had closer to 18 or 20. So that is where we are now. I think we have 17. And we have already seen through the primary election and the general election, the stress levels went down, the ability to retain the trainings that we needed them to train to execute their duties has been great improvement. And then we've also adjusted. We were relying on temporary labor things that they probably should have been done by employees, but we didn't have enough employees before we do that. That has gotten addressed. There is a top-down new voter registration and election management system. It's called No Ink. It's been used in Clark County for about 5 years now. All 17 Washoe counties are going on the same system, which should be helpful in terms of procurement, training, having consistent approaches, and best practices. And then you've probably seen we've hired Andrew McDonald as our registrar of voters. The Board of County Commissioners did that last month. All right. Innovative services, computer-aided dispatch. This is a project that continues from last year. It's on budget and on schedule to be completed in September of this year. And if, for those who aren't familiar with it, historically, Sparks Fire, Reno Fire, Truckee Meadows Fire, and REMSA all had different dispatch platforms, software platforms that did not talk to each other. So if you were, let's say instead, somewhere near the Reno City unincorporated Washoe County line, and you got in a car accident, or you needed an ambulance, or your house was on fire, it's been difficult for them to route the nearest resource at the shortest response time to take care of the issue. This project will cover that. Everybody will be on the same platform. The dispatcher, whether they're sitting in the REMSA Dispatch Center or the Sheriff's Office or Sparks Dispatch Center, they'll be able to see where everybody else's equipment is, and they'll be able to route the nearest ambulance or fire truck to the incident. This is a big deal. It's not sexy, but it's a big deal. It will save lives. In order to do this, we also need to harmonize with what are called mutual aid agreements, which we have. The county and Truckee Meadows Fire has with Sparks. We've had it for years. The issue has been between Reno and Truckee Meadows Fire getting those agreements in place. We now have one on a limited basis in the state area, in South Reno, and some parts. It needs to be universal, and that's what we're working towards. This has given a lot of energy around, and you've probably seen it in the paper. We had a concurrent commission meeting and board with the Reno and Sparks City Councils around potential consolidation of fire. So we met with one time in the board. I would say to you, and the commissioner can tell you what she thinks on her own. When I talk to our commissioners, they're not really excited about reconsolidation. They support regionalization, where we're all doing things the same way. We're dispatching units the same way. We're training people the same way, maybe. But more to, this has been a very important project to get people to think about, well, why are we doing it different in Sparks than we are in Reno, than we are in Truckee Meadows? Okay, so that's a big deal. I just want to point out there's been some technology enhancements when Candy reviews the development hub at the CAB meetings. That has been enabling for folks who can't come to the development meetings, or did not attend the development meeting, or want information on how they can provide input on a evolving development project. This allows people to do that. E-comment is the tool that allows you, the public, to provide comment to the commission on BCC agenda items. So if you cannot come down at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning, but you really care about agenda item number 4, you can go to the county website and you can tell them how you feel. And that input does get shared with the commission, and so they know what their constituents think about those issues. We have virtual meeting access for our friends in Incline Village and in Gerlach. And the last one, Wordly, is a new language translation service for folks who are hearing impaired. So if they come to a meeting, they can't hear what's going on. Or if English is not your first language, this is a platform. You can download it on your phone, or you can come to Chambers, and we now have a monitor in Chambers that translates it for you. All right, so whatever Commissioner Herman just said, it shows up on the screen and you can read it for yourself. Okay, these are examples of how we're trying to use technology to make access to information that the county is doing or its proceedings more available to you. Next slide. All right, last slide. So get the questions ready. I can see you guys are thinking. So the priorities for the year ahead. First is to confirm that we are going to continue the CAB program. So I know there's been some concern around the county that we were trying to do away with them. That is not the case. We were just reevaluating so that we can update them and hopefully make them better. We do have input from numerous CAB meetings, but also we had a workshop with CAB members in December. And the commissioners have also given us a lot of input. There's an item on the agenda tomorrow, as a matter of fact. It's pretty simplistic. It's just to open up the code to allow the commissioners to make updates to the CAB. So the fireworks won't be tomorrow. It'll probably be in the next meeting when the staff will present here. Based on all this input, here's what we propose that you do. Here's what we heard from the public. Here's what we propose that you do. But tomorrow will be the formal opening of the code, and that requires, you know, the things you gotta do in the BCCD. But they're going to continue. The old West Hills Hospital, we're working on completing the upgrade to that site. I think what you will see is a 46,000 square foot facility. We're going to have a mixed use facility primarily focused on juvenile mental health, because this state and this county does not have mental health facilities for kids who have moderate to acute mental health issues. If your son or your kid or your grandson, let's say, is on the autism spectrum and acts out in school and they won't take them in school anymore, right now it's really tough getting anybody to take care of them. And we're shipping kids out of state every single week at a tremendous cost to the system so that they can get taken care of. Our goal is to make sure that that can get taken care of here in Washoe County. The second thing is for adults who have what are called subacute mental health issues. So these are not people who are a danger to others or themselves, but they do have mental health issues. They get confused, and there really is no place for them to go. We probably have 250 to 300 people sitting in our facilities tonight, the jail, our place, Harris campus, and the Safe Camp. Really shouldn't be there, but there's no place else for them to be. So the vision is we'll have a facility where we can have those folks, make sure that they're treated properly. We're partnering probably with UNR and Renowned Hospital. They have a mental health school, so we'll be training interns to deal with mental health issues. Julia Ratty again is working on that. That's a big deal. Okay, broadband in this community. 2 weeks ago, the Nevada Office of Science, Information, and Technology, said Innovation and Technology, announced there are about $48 million in broadband funding for Washoe County to receive broadband in unserved or underserved areas. This is an underserved or unserved area. I believe Sky Fiber was awarded the grant for Warm Springs and Palomino Valley, this whole area. If you're not familiar with Sky Fiber, they are, I believe, they're not Washoe County based, they're based in Douglas County. I know these guys personally when I was, working for Charter Communications in one of my prior lives. They were my maintenance techs, and they went on to try to figure out how to do a broadband construction business. They do wired and wireless broadband deployments. I suspect you're going to see a combination of wired and wireless in this area. You do not have the line of sight issues, they call it, that we have, let's say, in Incline Village, where there are trees, things in the way. The wireless, what they call fixed wireless technology has evolved to a point where the speeds are comparable to wireline. There are some issues with weather, like you have catastrophic rainstorms, snowstorms, those kinds of things, just like with DirecTV Dish Network, you can have faith. But this was just announced. State is negotiating with the bid winners, including Sky Fiber. So I can't say any more because they haven't inked the contract yet. But we'll get Bazad out here to talk to you. The other good news that he wanted me to extend to you tonight is Verizon has shared with us that the axe handle tower will be finished by the end of April. So that should improve your cellular service footprint in that gap area. Okay, a couple other things. We're in the process of updating our emergency evacuation plans around the county. So this is a big deal. Some of these plans haven't been updated for over 10 years, and things have changed in terms of evacuation routes, capacity of roads, and all that kind of stuff. So at the appropriate time, we'll get Kelly Maria out here. She's been here before to talk to you about that, because it's done on a community by community basis. Same for the FEMA floodplain updates. We started in Lemon Valley, but there are probably 8 or 10 of those updates that we're doing in concert with FEMA and our engineers that we're going to want to come back and talk to you about in case there's any changes here in Warm Springs. All right, public-private partnerships. What I'll say about that is a lot of jurisdictions around the country have found a way to reach out to private industry. Actually, I should say, look at the Reno Tahoe Airport and the expansion that they're going through. They have a $300 million, what they call ground transportation. It's a center that they're building. This is where the parking will be. This is where the new rental car facilities will be. All that's being paid for by the rental car. And when I saw that, I went, well, why can't we do that? And we can't. So in very, very simplified description, you say, okay, let's say the county owns a plot of land, like the courthouse in downtown Reno, or we got 12 acres out in Panther Valley that they were going to put apparently the Jan Evans Center, which we probably predates me, but they chose another site. County still owns it. Why couldn't we go to the proper developer and say, we want affordable housing on that site? We'll give you a 50 or 100-year lease for $1 you have put rights. So if we decide we don't like you, we still own the property. We can take it back. You're going to pay us 5% of whatever revenue. That's an oversimplification, but that's what the airport has done with the rental car companies to build their center. I'm going to be bringing something before the commission probably next month to retain experts to help us with this. And when I say experts, these are people here in order to do that. So so, okay. What else? Oh, I duplicated that, huh? I think that's it. Right, Candy?
Thank you is the next slide.
What questions do you have?
I have a question, maybe it's not a question, but it's an observation.
Okay.
That when I've been through several of these up and down budget cycles,
Yes.
not only here, but in California. And I noticed already that the cities who plan poorly are already starting to look at Washoe County and go, well, we don't want a chunk of that.
Yes.
And this occurred back in 2008. Reno I just read an email this afternoon that Reno is barking up the tree again.
We saw fiscal
And
equity.
it's just something that we should be aware of. Because we have a well-managed county that these cities have developed with reckless abandon, built no infrastructure or poor infrastructure. And now they look at the county and say, well, look at that big piece of cheese. That's
Larry, they have referred to us statement as a juicy hot dog. We're starving over here, we need help. So, yeah, we see that, and let me just tell you that from the day I got here, your commissioner has warned me that this day was coming. She's seen this before.
yeah, we have.
And she's seen how we got burned in the fire, marriage, and divorce, and so forth. So, I think most of the commissioners see that. I think, Senator Daly released his bill yesterday. I'm sorry, I don't have the bill number for you, but around fire consolidation. And there's things in there that are just plain offensive if you're an unincorporated county resident, or Truckee Meadows, part of the organization. So I will admit to you, Larry, we won't give the farm away. We do have, be careful, certain members of the commission who are very empathetic to the cities. And their perspective, whether you agree with it or not, I'm the county manager, so I gotta be objective, is, well, if they fail, we fail. Because if Sparks goes bankrupt, then the county could end up having to take over Sparks.
Rather than the state.
Yes, now that's not clear to me. I've heard people in pretty high places say different things about that. But the point is, there are members of the commission who think, well, we should help, because if we don't help them, it's gonna fall in our laps anyway, so let's help. And at a certain level, that's okay, but my comment to my counterparts in Sparks and Reno, the two managers, is that I'm not interested in anything that's gonna involve you shoving costs to county taxpayers. Now, if there's something we can do that makes sense, that benefits everybody in reducing costs, okay, let's talk about that. But if you think, and a lot of this is public safety, by the way, they hate the fact that they pay the sheriff for crime lab investigations. Their view, which is not based on anything in fact, is that somehow the sheriff should cover those costs because the sheriff covers the entire county, including their residents. And that's about as clear as it gets, about it. We could have an argument all week about the medical exam. That's another. They say, well, look, that the county as a medical examiner. By the way, the county medical examiner serves 7 or 8 counties in Northern California. They have interlocal agreements with each of those counties in which they pay for those medical examiner services. Well, Reno and Sparks, their point of view is, yeah, but we're your bros. Yeah, we should get a better rate. Sit there and look at them, so. Well, we are the big juicy hot dog. So I appreciate the comment. I just want you to know, so they're gonna get a letter back to me by the end of next week that says, happy to sit down, you pick the 5 interlocal agreements that you want our reason. And let's assign our teams to crack them open and see if the cost allocation still makes sense. I'm willing to do that. Because there may be some that are out of whack. But this concept of, and if you read the roads section of their letter, I was telling the commissioner about that earlier today, where they seem to have a hard place in their hearts around dirt roads, unpaved roads. Like they shouldn't be counted in the calculation. No. Because they're city dwellers. They don't care.
They don't have it.
That. So when, in terms of the fuel, this kind of comes up with, in terms of how the fuel taxes are calculated. It's how many miles of road. And it doesn't distinguish between unpaved and paved. So this commissioner has more roads in the city of Reno. More miles. You do, that burns, that they don't.
Well, Eric.
Yeah.
I know you represent the whole county,
Yes.
but I just wanted to weigh in on this issue of negotiations. I have complete confidence in our commissioner. So if you ever wanted to ask me a question about how to negotiate, go to her. Okay, she's precious as she.
She has sage wisdom, you're correct, but I want to share with you guys, that's why I come to these cabins, because I know what you guys, I think I understand your perspective, your pain, how you're being left out. I go Gerlach, I go England, all, and it's different. It's a very wide range of county. So I don't expect a county manager in Sparks or Reno to understand what our constituents want. What? Hell. Oh, okay. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, can you say your name, please?
Oh, Jan Williamson, for the record. So, you talked about the axe handle cell tower.
Yeah.
In April?
Yeah.
And is that on like the east side of Pyramid?
You know, I was afraid you were gonna ask me that. I have no idea. Anybody know?
Yeah,
That tower is up there and
But where, is it on the east or west side?
it's on the west side
It's on the
and it's
west
up on the hill and it's active.
Yeah, but they're expanding the capacity of it, is what they're saying.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So they'll have a bigger reach. It's the same tower, but they're hanging new electronics on it. So that it'll reach farther.
It's a.
I've seen that
you've seen
tower,
that one up there?
Oh, it's a
That's
huge
the one.
tower.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
really high. It's
but I don't get any cell service through there
Oh,
still.
yeah.
That's
He
what they're
said they
gonna
have, they have no, completely opened it up.
Oh, okay.
Next time I come, you can fuss at me, it's still not.
Okay.
Is that a deal?
So that's number one. Number two is this, cab thing.
Mhm.
So you said that the commissioners wanted to do a regional thing of training everybody.
I wouldn't say that. I would say there's agreement across the 3 jurisdictions. Let's get on the same platform.
So I'm new to the area. What 3 jurisdictions?
So Reno, Sparks, and Washoe County.
Okay.
Because right now, we have no idea where the Reno fire trucks are or the Reno ambulances are. And there are instances where they could be down the street, literally, from this accident and we're not routing them to the accident because we don't understand it. That's the basic essence of what this platform.
Okay, so what about routing them out here to? Tell me about it.
That's an interesting question.
And I only say that because, you know, insurance is starting to be an issue out here.
What kind of
Home insurance, fire insurance. Because we only have, you know, a volunteer fire department. Trustee Meadows in Spanish Springs is closest.
That's why I come in.
It will benefit Warm Springs. I hadn't thought about it in those terms, but it will. And so the question is that we're, that the county is debating about, not really responsibility. We got Pyramid, Lake Height, right, we had a volunteer. Here. So we now have this new technology. Plug them into it. The answer is yes. There's some costs because you gotta put a unit on each of their rigs that they probably can't afford to pay for. My opinion is, you don't care, we'll blend that into the cost that the county pays. So we don't have it solved, but you're raising a point that I had thought about.
So I would like to raise the point that, yeah, insurance is,
Yes.
we had a very hard time getting insurance on our home out here.
How long ago did you buy?
Well, no, that's 2020.
You might want to watch the picture. So the insurance commissioner will do that along.
Okay.
Oh, Tuesday. Tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah, obviously.
But he's coming at the request of the commission because of this issue of not just for fire, but flood.
Mhm.
Automobile, let's talk automobile insurance. Yeah, mine's really. Got two lights.
Well, but at least you can get insurance.
What's interesting is, I was down at the legislative session 2 weeks ago. I was asking people, what are we doing? What's the state doing about insurance?
Mhm.
Other states are at least trying, having a discussion, figure out what's the solution for the everyday homeowner now that they're starting to. But I think about it.
Right.
I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
And I sympathize because I had to go shopping for new insurance. And I am only 1 mile out of the jurisdiction of the Spanish Springs Fire Department. And it cost me another $2,200 a year for that one family.
So the cab thing would be awesome. We could implement.
That is like that's an excellent one. I haven't thought about it. We will hold that in, but there's a way we can help people. What else?
Was everybody else fine? I've got a list.
Oh, you got a list?
Patiently waiting. Well, I just have a few questions. Going to, the county budget.
Yeah.
$1 billion budget,
Yeah.
$54 million surplus that's in the bank, right? Employee compensation cost is 75% of their operating budget, which is the billion. So $750 million for the employees, okay. And then that doesn't include non-compensation costs for the employees. So that's on top of the 750 mil.
No. Let me correct you. The 75% includes benefits.
Okay, So, but you did separate non-compensation from compensation. What is non-compensation?
Could be training, could be, it's not things that I receive as an employee directly.
Is it a minor cost then, relatively speaking?
Yeah, compared to compensation, yes.
Okay. And then you preface that with county's source of revenue being property tax is 75% of its right. And then you said sales tax, is that sales tax?
That's a combination of sales tax, hotel taxes, sort of mostly sales tax.
Okay, so it's a consumption type tax.
Yes.
And that's flat. But, I look around and all I see is explosive growth. So I'm not exactly sure about us being in flattening environment for the budget, but that's not the point I was trying to make in the question that I have. Yeah, go ahead.
It does the job. That's why feedback is flat. I think, and I should share with you that the state implemented with the implemented a new budgeting software. That we haven't seen a report to. So it makes us a little nervous when, the numbers that we're getting, that they've already vetted may not be accurate. And, you're trying to build a budget, right now, but you don't have information for a while, so. Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to the open checkbook. I guess it's going to show us revenues versus expenditures.
They will.
But here's the question. All of that boils down to the question. Actually, two questions. One, when are we gonna see our property taxes going down? And two, I saw recently the city of Sparks mayor talking pretty definitively about layoffs. When will we be seeing layoffs for Washoe County?
Well,
And I know that you just got them to 4-year agreement, what did you call it, the collective bargaining agreement. But it strikes me that if you have flattening revenues, with employee compensation being 3/4 of our expenditure, layoff seems to be a viable option to balance the budget. Okay. Well, I just want to make the point. I'm not really interested in the answer. I was going to make that point. Well, sure.
Washoe County, I think we're the 6th largest employer in the county. My own view, view of a lot of our commissioners is anything we can do to avoid layoffs, which would exacerbate the problem. Now, down is at the top, and I can't remember who, but we're a pretty big deal. I think you would see us do things like freeze, hiring, stop hiring. So if there are open positions, which is what starts to do, don't backfill. But those are things that we typically consult the commission about first. We will see a discussion about that in the budget meeting discussion that will come up in April, because that impacts families, right? If you stop hiring people. But yes, when personnel costs are that big a component of your, there's not much else you can do. At some point, you gotta stop hiring people or let people off.
How many people work for Washoe County?
3,100.
Okay, so 3,100 people represent $750 million, which is a chunk, to say the least, but that's not very many people. 3,100 people is one person, essentially, approximately one person per house in this town, which isn't that many people.
And we have less employees than we did at the last recession.
I want to make the point,
3,400.
let's move on. Well, there are other points here.
Okay.
So, then you moved on to talk about, opioids.
Yes.
Let's see, we're building, you did the campus cares program,
Yes.
and you talked about, how we're spending money to help people with mental health, I think it's
Yes.
mental health issues,
Yes.
mental health issues.
Yes.
And you did talk about drug abuse in that section of your presentation. And something, I recently went to a presentation at Spanish Springs High School. It's put on by the Sparks City attorney. And there was a lady there from a program called Wake Up Nevada.
Yeah.
It was on opioid abuse and specifically saving people who were in the process of overdose.
Yeah.
And it was very good, actually. But in contrast to your presentation tonight, the two programs, it strikes me Washoe County is spending a lot of money on the result of a lot of drugs coming into Washoe County. And my question is this, why aren't we diverting not a significant portion, but a portion of the money that you're spending on mental health and drug abuse to the sheriff's department and give them resources to interfere with the transportation of drugs into our community and figure out how to slow that down?
Actually, there are federal grants we receive. When I talk about the drug intervention programs, they're typically not funded from the general fund that comes from your property taxes and so forth. They usually come from grants. So the DA's office and the sheriff's office both receive resources from the Department of Justice because we're on the I-80 corridor. You're right, where there is drug trafficking and human trafficking that gives us higher than normal occurrences of those kinds of infractions. So they do. Now, given what's going on in Washington right now, all that is moving.
So it's because it's a federal aid.
Yes.
These are federal funds, that's why, and they direct how they're spent.
They do, and even the things we get from the state are federally funded through the state, so they're passed through to us too.
Okay, that makes sense.
So that's how we handle that, unless there is a local nonprofit like Catholic Charities or somebody like other folks.
Okay, let's more directly point this question in on the next question, which was when you were talking about the opioid
Yeah.
settlement.
Yeah.
And it strikes me that the money from the opioid settlement is being diverted towards mental health issues rather than drug abuse. So it seems
They're intertwined, so it's both.
okay.
Because it is very hard to separate the two. In terms of whether my mental health issues caused my drug abuse or vice versa. That makes sense.
Well, it sort of does, and it sort of doesn't, because there are a lot of sane people that use drugs.
Yes. Well, you and I could argue about. Yes, you're right.
Right, I understand that, catch the humor there. I'm talking from the perspective of having seen that presentation on opioids, and it was the other side of the coin in terms of understanding how and what people are doing with drugs. So I see a lot of people that are recreationally using drugs
That's correct.
and getting into some serious trouble with that. Okay, and that strikes me.
So what do you think we should do about that? If my son is just being a knucklehead, he's not, but let's say he was. He's not mentally incompetent, he's just doing stupid things. What do we do about that?
Well, okay, that's not an easy question to
Right.
answer, of course. And actually, the Philippines tried a program that Rodrigo Duterte was in the news last couple of days for having tried, which was getting very hard on the sellers of drugs. And I'm familiar with what happened over there. I'm not exactly sure I agree with what's happened to him. But it's an example that in case point that we could probably look at. I think that the supply side warrants our attention more than the demand side of that problem.
Okay.
But I'm not prepared to really answer.
Which, depending on your politics, the president is working on, trying to choke off all the foolishness of the southern.
I don't think we should pull politics into this conversation at this moment.
No, I don't either. So why don't you move on?
Yeah, I'm ready to, yes. In terms of elections,
Yes.
I think it went quite smoothly, like you pointed out. But I wanted to point out, I still got my real ballot before my sample ballot. Okay.
You know, then to fall down, and that's not an excuse. But I have the scars to show over the last 5 years of the elections problem. And this is another area your commissioner has been very candid with me from the day I showed up here. She explained to me some of the historic problems in this region, postal service, and how the voter lists have not been properly maintained, and people receiving ballots at their home. People don't get there. I will tell you, earlier in my career, I used to do direct mail marketing for Procter & Gamble. So we were mailing 100 million mail a week. And when I got here, I looked at infrastructure just for the postal service. I knew there was a problem. We actually, the county did a quiet study with county employees where we mailed ballots, sample ballots, off cycle, not in an election, to the 3,000, there were 2,800 of 3,100 county employees, 71. And the error rate is about 12%. This was in 2020, right? Normally the error rate is in the 4%. So we knew we had a problem, but the state went to, during COVID, all mail ballots, right? So it wasn't our decision, but we have to live with it. I'm saying all that to say, I think with this registrar of voters, with a fully staffed group down there, I believe, and Candy will tell you this, I believe in sending my people to training. Don't just sit here in Washoe County and rely on what you know. Go hang out with people who do what you do and find out what are the best practices and bring them back. You will see that in our, so.
Those are your non-compensation costs that we're talking about.
That could be, that's
And
training, yeah.
You and I had this discussion last fall when you were here last time. And I believe that you said that it was actually a problem with the printer. On the sample ballots that made,
It was.
that delayed the sample ballots.
Yeah.
Just a suggestion for you and my commissioner, perhaps putting some effort into lobbying the state to stop this absurd mail-in balloting and go back to polls and in-person voting, which solves some of this problem. I don't know. Well, that's all I had for you. I think by the way, your presentation was beyond excellent tonight.
I always appreciate you. I know I don't come here and get away without it. So that is a big part of, my understanding is that last point you made about elections is a big part of the discussion going on in Carson City, right? But I think, I get the sense that the governor is more pissed off, more upset about looking at the TV screen on election night on CNN or Fox News or whatever you probably haven't seen it, and seeing that Nevada are one of the handful of states that hasn't reported results. I sense that he wants to get that. He wants to get us off that list. And if returning to more in-person voting, I can't speak for him, But I'm just telling you, that's a motivation that I see and hear from him in his office. That might, we'll see. Now, the problem is, as you know, the legislature is cut from a different cloth. And
You asked me a question about my opinion on the supply side of drugs. And I don't have an answer for you at the moment. I could have an answer. But I would be very interested in hearing from the sheriff here in our CAB meeting, what his thoughts are.
that's fair. And we'll note that, because if I may expand on that, I'm trying to get him to come out next round of CAB meetings, talk about that in immigration. Right. And it's not on the agenda, but can you have license under my presentation? State of Nevada, 17 counties and sheriffs and police chiefs and what, 27 cities or whatever. You can't believe the number of conversations, conference calls, things that are going on. They're trying to arrive at a common model or template for how we enforce immigration and how we work with ICE. There are differing points of view. You probably heard the Douglas County Sheriff agreed to collaborate with ICE